has looked for a therapist by simply Googling therapist near me? Well, I have. And today I'm going to show you a better way and a more thorough way to find the right therapist for you. Well, hello and welcome. I'm Carol Cavelli. I'm a licensed therapist and I support the emotional health and wellness of women in midlife. And this video is part 2 of a 4-part series that I'm doing on finding the right therapist as a woman in midlife. The first video, which I will link up here, covers different types of therapists, their educational background, and 2 questions to ask yourself. Do the therapists understand midlife? And does how they work dovetail with what I'm looking for? Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to cover is how to start the search. And I know I mentioned in my introduction about Googling therapist near me, but you can use an internet search, a Google search, in a more specific way to find what you're looking for, to narrow your focus other than therapist near me. So you can put therapist near me, but you can also make a little bit of a specifier by including language that about the points that matter to you, whether it's anxiety, depression, perimenopause, burnout, marital problems. When you're doing a general internet search, you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for to start narrowing down. So if you think of it in terms of a funnel, if you put therapist near me, that's huge and wide. So if you start adding a little bit of language just to narrow it down a little bit, then from there you can do a little more detailed search, which I will get into next. If you'd like to use even more language to specify and find your therapist, you can use AI. And here is an example of how you can use AI to search for a therapist. So another option that people are using to find a therapist is AI, or in this case, ChatGPT. I pulled up a ChatGPT chat and put in the prompt, "Can you help me find a therapist for women in midlife? I would like this therapist to offer in-person as well as virtual sessions. I would like this therapist to have content on their site about midlife struggles. I would like this therapist to have training to help with my worsening anxiety that appears to be connected to perimenopause. I prefer this therapist to be in network with my insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, but I'm open to a therapist who is out of network if it is the right fit. I am located in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm only willing to travel within the city of Boston. Please ask me any questions that are necessary in order to find the right therapist for my situation." Now that last sentence you can leave out if you would prefer not to feed AI or feed ChatGPT with your personal information. That's just if you really want to narrow down options and are willing to put your personal information in there. If you were to put this prompt as it is, as I read it, ChatGPT will give you some questions to answer. So if you put in the prompt for questions, it will ask you questions. If you decide to skip that, it'll start giving you potential matches. So in this case, we have several potential matches, but the one thing you want to keep in mind with ChatGPT is that ChatGPT is not perfect. So these could absolutely be bona fide options, but you want to investigate them further. So you want to go on to the different areas that they have listings on, whether it's Psychology Today, Therapy Tribe, Life Stance Health. You want to check out their websites. It's just AI can be a really good tool to start your search and maybe start to narrow your search. And then sometimes it gives you next steps. But this is another option to help you find a therapist for you. If you want to get a little more specific to what you're looking for in a therapist, so if you want to, again, go a little bit further down that funnel to search therapists specifically and read different profiles about therapists, you're going to want to then turn your search to a therapist directory. And there's multiple therapist directories. There's Psychology Today, that's probably one of the largest ones. There is Therapy Den, Therapy Tribe, Inclusive Therapists. There's a number of different directories. So you can go on one of these directories or more than one of these directories, and you should be able to filter different criteria of what you're looking for. And even then, it could pop up with a whole lot of therapists. So from there, you're going to want to narrow your search even more. But you can keep adding filters with what you feel comfortable with or what you feel applies to you, and then continue your search from there by reading their profile. And if what they have to say resonates for you, if you read this profile and say, wow, this is someone I think I can work with, but you're not quite convinced yet, you can probably go to the next step, which would be to look at their website. Now let's look at a couple of therapist websites. Before we get into looking at the site, I wanted to break down how you can look at that site and go in with a little bit of a plan when you are seeing whether or not this therapist or this site is conveying what you're looking for, what is right for you. And we do that by looking at first what's objective in the website and what is subjective in the website. What's objective in the website are the facts, which could be, or which is their license, their degrees, their credentials, any kind of certifications that they have, what states they're licensed in, the types of therapy methods that they list, different approaches that they take. Do they work virtually? Do they work in person? Do they work in a hybrid? Where is their office located? Do they accept insurance? And if not, what are their fees? And if they accept out of network, how do they work with that, right? So what is their policies in terms of insurance? Do they offer consultations? Are their consultations free? And whatever their scheduling process is, or their process is for you to reach out to them to connect and make contact. Those are what I would term as objective, right? This is the way it is. There's no interpretation for it. They're either licensed or they're not. They're either doing a virtual sessions or they're not. And the next category would be the more subjective information, which lends it more to your interpretation and how it connects to your feelings versus what's logical. So ways that therapists can convey that are through how their site is presented in terms of colors, in terms of style. Does it feel warm? Does it feel bright? Does it feel cold? Does it feel clinical? Does it feel inviting? That's left up to you as you interpret it. What one person may see as cold, another person may see as clinical and professional. So there's latitude in the interpretation. And also part of that is, are they speaking to you? Is the content, is the language speaking to you? It may speak to you, it may not speak to somebody else. Again, it's subjective, it's open to interpretation. What kind of feelings does it bring out? Do you feel seen? Do you feel understood? Are you intrigued by what the therapist is saying? And do they seem approachable and or overly polished or overly detached? Again, and some people may see as someone as approachable. Someone else may see that person as unprofessional. Look what they're wearing. It's just too casual. I want to see my therapist dressed a little more professionally. Right? Again, open to interpretation. And within those two realms, within objective and subjective, we try to find what's a good match for you, or at least a good match, or you think it's a good match enough to take the next step. So in this case, today I'm going to show you two therapist websites, and one of them is not mine. So I'm keeping everything very neutral. I am going to show you the websites of Alyse Frida Colon and Drew Rabideau. Those are the therapists that I interviewed previously, and I will link the links to their each of their interviews in the description. And because I know them, I can speak on their websites a little bit more. And because they practice very differently and their websites present very differently, it would be a great um, contrast or a great comparison to look at both, and we could look at the objective and more about the subjective, how it lands with you. Here we go. The first website we're going to look at is Alyse Frida Cologne. You can see right off the bat when you bring up Alyse's website, it's very bright and it's very colorful. And as you scroll down, there's this really fun picture of Alyse. She's fun. She has her Barbie shirt on. She's wearing bright pink. And since I know Alyse, I can say with confidence, this is Alyse. So Alyse is this therapist who is very expressive, and she's very bright, and she's very animated, and she is very engaging, and she's a therapist who uh, is very participatory. She participates in the therapy. She's not the therapist who's going to sit. So I know this about Alyse, but now let's look and see how it shows in her website. We look, and right away we see bright colors, and she says, "Hi!" exclamation point. I'm Alyse Frida Cologne, and yes, you need therapy. Not in a judgy way, in a it's time to stop making excuses and finally fix this shit way. That is Alyse right there. And for some people, that is yes. That is the person that I think I want to work with. I want to work with someone who is very down to earth, not putting on any kind of airs, not putting on any kind of like snootiness. I want someone who's just going to tell me as it is. So yet for some other people, they may say, whoa, this is a little too in my face. This may not be for me. So again, it's that subject. Now we're looking at subjective. How does this vibe for you? Right? Looking at her site. How does Alyse's site, how does some of this language, how does it land on you? And if it lands like, yeah, this is pretty good. I like to scroll a little bit further, and her call to action. So this is a call to action button. So for people who are not as familiar with putting websites together, this button is saying, hey, now contact me in some fashion. And Alyse is saying it's time to fix the shit. So it's kind of saying, hey, take the next step, get in touch with me. And Alyse is licensed in New York. So she's talking about being a fellow New Yorker and connecting with other New Yorkers on that level, saying, I get it. It's 2 a.m. and you're in bed worrying. I get that. So remember, that was one of the subjective points that I talked about. How do you see the site visually? And how are they speaking to you in your life? Right. So Lisa's saying right away, I'm looking at you, and if you are someone who is not sleeping well and you're up at 2 a.m. worrying, I got you. I'm the person to see. That's what's subjective in this language. And again, it's how it sits for you. So we're going to scroll through. Then again, another call to action, another way. Hey, book a session with Alyse. Go, go meet with Alyse. See how you feel. Don't waste another night worrying. Right? And he's saying, come on, I got you. I see you. You're worrying. You're an overthinker. And then she talks about herself. I am Alyse. And then you're learning a little bit more about Alyse and other another picture of her. And then, again, scrolling a little bit more, let's talk results, a little bit more. She talks about, I went to an Ivy League school and I've got the letters after my name, but that important stuff, is the relationship you develop with your therapist. So she's saying, hey, I'm educated, right? So objective, she went to an Ivy League school, and subjective, it's okay, I went to an Ivy League school, but really it's about how we relate to each other and that I can help you and that you feel comfortable with me. So let's look at some of Alyse's services. So she has one-on-one therapy. And she says right here, I help New York women create lives that are better than they ever thought possible by teaching them to let go of societal expectations, break free from limiting beliefs, and speak up for what they need and want. That's her message right there. If you are that woman, then Alyse could be the therapist for you. If that feels like, well, that's great, that's not really what I'm looking for, then maybe not. Or maybe there's something else that Alyse offers that you feel might work. Again, objective and subjective. So she is offering, now we're into a little more of the objective, right? She offers face-to-face, one-on-one therapy in person, right? So she offers it in person in Huntington Village, New York. And she says it's easily accessible to all of Suffolk County and Nassau County in Long Island, and virtually, so objective. She offers in-person and virtual appointments via Zoom for clients throughout New York State. And she's saying right there, she is licensed in New York. That is where she is allowed to practice. This whole paragraph right here is objective information. And then she talks more. Are you experiencing the following? So she's trying to relate some more subjective information, and then a little bit more about herself. So she really wants you to get to know her as a person so you feel comfortable speaking with her, or again, opening up to her. And she does offer some objective information, right? I started my practice in 2007, having received my master's in clinical social work. So we know she's a social worker from Columbia University in 1994. So some objective information. And again, a therapist, face-to-face therapy in Huntington, New York, which we saw previously. And she gives, again, objective information. She gives a complimentary consultation, 15-minute consultation, to learn about your reasons for seeking therapy and to explain my approach. So she's offering that opportunity to meet with her for 15 minutes. I believe it is a phone consultation. I don't know if it specifically says in here, but she offers a consultation, 15 minutes, to see if you two can gel, if you're a good fit for each other. Now, other things you want to look for that are objective. Let's see if I can find it in here. Therapist for high achieving women. So she's putting that out there also as her specialization. Here's another piece, is the cost, right? So you want to know, okay, Alyse seems really great. Let's see if Alyse is in my budget. So she's saying right out, please check your insurance company about out-of-network mental health benefits, as you may be reimbursed. So she's saying right here, I am not in network. Please check your out-of-network benefits. And with that, then she says, she gives you her rates. A regular session is 45 minutes at $300, and then she does therapy intensives, $300 per 45-minute block. You have that. You have testimonials. So people have spoken about Alyse. That's more information that other people think highly of her enough to write a testimonial, and she puts that on her website. And she has a newsletter. So if it's something where you'd like to learn a little bit more about Alyse, she has a newsletter you can sign up for as well. I hope with this website, you have an idea of someone like Alyse. The one other thing I want to review before I go on to Drew's site is her contact. So if you want to get in touch with Alyse, you go right to her contact page, which most people with websites do have their contact page. So with Alyse, now Alyse offers a 15-minute consultation, free consultation. So maybe some of that contact is to, ask her about having a consultation. And, she gives again her objective information, where her uh, office is located and how to reach out for her. And you reach out to her, and then you can fill out this form. You put your message saying you want a consultation, you have questions, and how you heard about her, and then that is it. So that is Alyse. Now, to contrast, well, compare and contrast, because they're both excellent therapists. They practice very differently, and their websites present very differently. So I want to show you Drew's website now. Let's look at Drew's site. So now when we look at Drew's site, you can see it has a very different vibe to it, right? Alyse was very bright and bright colors, expressive. I mean, Drew's is expressive as well, just in a very different way. So we look right again, nice, beautiful picture of Drew, very inviting, right? And she says, discover the insight of therapy. So this is a very different approach than Alyse. Alyse is very present moment, looking at the here and now, not delving into the past. Let's see what we have going on now, and let's fix it. Let's fix the way you think, the way you act. We're not going to look at how you grew up or anything like that. So in Drew's case, we're looking at the word insight right there. And that gives a clue. Now it's could be objective, could be subjective. We'll know more as we look at her site a bit more, but insight connotes more deeper work, right? Looking a little bit deeper, what's underneath, because we want to bring insight. We want to fix it, but we want to fix it from bringing insight and putting pieces together that you may not realize are there, but your mind is putting it together. I hope that makes sense. That's what I see right there in terms of Drew's site. And then Drew also objective. Drew has a free consultation as well. And Drew is a compassionate and fun therapist. So Alyse portrays fun in her website with bright colors and pictures. And Drew saying, yeah, I'm fun. I'm fun in a perhaps a different way, right? Because I'm showing it differently. I'm fun, I'm lighthearted, I'm open. And she is based in Rochester. Objective information right there, right? Rochester, New York. She specializes in divorce, breakups, motherhood, and trauma. But she also has, if you scroll up, she does work a lot with people who are newly diagnosed with herpes. So we can get to that in a moment. Um, and she's showing you major transitions can be a springboard or a trap door, your choice. And she's saying, hey, you're going through a transition. She's saying it's your choice whether it's a trap door or whether it's a springboard. And perhaps working with a therapist can make it more of a springboard than a trap door. Does this resonate? If life has been feeling overwhelming, draining, and uncertain, I'm here to help. Well, objectively, she's saying, I'm here to help. And then subjectively, she's reaching out to people who are feeling overwhelmed, drained, and feeling like they're in a place of certainty, right? If you feel like you've been burying your head to escape overwhelm, I totally get it. So people reaching out to people who may be avoiding having to address certain situations because they're feeling overwhelmed. And she says, I'm here to help. Hey, I'm Drew. I got you. Is just very friendly, very approachable. Like I got you. I'm not going to judge you. Um, and then she, a little subjective, hi, I'm Drew, an insightful and fun therapist based in Rochester. I specialize in finding the light at the end of the tunnel in a major transition of breakup, divorce, struggles in motherhood, and learning how to live with trauma when your old approaches aren't working. Okay, very specific people that she connects with, and she's here to help you if what you've been doing to help cope in the past isn't working, move forward from here. And we're scrolling a bit down. As you can see, the colors that she uses are softer. They're not as bright. One is not better than the other. It's just she's showing herself through these colors in her site, just as Alyse showed herself through the brightness of the colors that she chose for her site. And it's time to pick yourself back up, should be encouraging. Let's do this. Her specialties: objective information, divorce, anxiety and trauma, mommy burnout. Reach out, see change, get your control back. So a lot of this revolving around people who are feeling like maybe they're juggling a lot of balls and all of a sudden the balls are just flying everywhere. So she wants to help bring that sense of control, or to address that chaos and bring it back to a more manageable place. Let's look a little bit more at some objectives. So Drew has a blog. So if a lot of therapists do have blogs. So a blog is just more information that you can use to see if a therapist is right for you, or to see if what they're writing about resonates for you, if you feel that it describes your situation or describes how you want to work. So there is her blog. Moving along, we're going to get to Drew's services. Now, Drew has a lot of services, and then she has services here around. Okay, so first we'll go with women diagnosed with herpes. So a lot of her services also revolve around herpes, being diagnosed with herpes. I think disclosing with herpes, support groups she offers, parents of adult children with herpes, one-on-one services, relationship struggles, anxiety counseling, then depression counseling, EMDR. So Drew is trained in EMDR. That's objective information. If you're looking for someone who's trained in EMDR, they will put it on their site. And she also does immigration evaluations. Again, disclosure of a herpes diagnosis. She speaks more about that. She offers a course, Welcome to Dating with Herpes. So this could be helpful for people who are struggling. And again, objective information. She offers this course around this area of expertise. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot about objectively insurance and fees. And this is where all the information is. So right here, virtually or in person. So you can do both. You can see her in Rochester, and you can also work with her virtually. And then she talks about how online therapy works with her, objective information. Do you offer in-person sessions? Objective information. What are your fees? Objective information. And Drew's fee is $300 for a 50-minute session. Her fee for celebrity clients is $600 per session. Does she take insurance? She is in network with Excelsius Blue Cross Blue Shield in Western New York. That's in the area that she is located. If you are not in that network, if that is not your insurance company, she can provide you a super bill, which is super bill is a document that has all the information on it that you need to submit to your insurance if you have out-of-network benefits for partial reimbursement or full reimbursement, depending on what the insurance company does. So she does give super bills, and she talks about how often do I need to see you. So this is more This is objective to Drew, subjective to the world of therapy. Objective meaning this is her policy. Subjective is this is could be different through across the board with different therapists. So you want to, if you're interested in Drew, this is how often she wants you to see. I only see clients weekly. So if this is something that you want, Drew could be a good fit with, if the other aspects of her site and her information line up for you. If seeing people weekly is not something you could do, or you could do for a short term but not for a long term, then maybe Drew might not be the right person for you. And then she tells you what you expect during her first appointment. More objective information. Is everything on sessions confidential? Objective information. How long do I need to be in therapy? That is subjective information. It varies from person to person and from therapist to therapist. And as she says, it's determined by you. Again, you're not broken and you're not alone. And let's just look really lastly at how to contact Drew. So this is Drew's contact page. So if you're looking through her site and you're like, yeah, this is, I really like what Drew is offering here. I really would like to have some EMDR work. I really like the deeper work. Or maybe you're someone who's newly diagnosed with herpes and wants to have support around coping with the diagnosis and then eventually dating. You can contact Drew, and then here it's get in touch, and then Drew has her own form to fill out here. I hope that you found positive information from being able to look at objective information and subjective information when you're looking at a therapist's website. You're looking at the language that they're using, you're looking at the colors that they're using, and how objectively does how the therapist work, does that fit into what works for you? Weekly, in network, out of network, fees, all that, does that fit for you? And if so, then subjectively, is the language that they're using, are they saying things that resonates for you? Are they using terms, or are they telling you that, yeah, you're the person that I work with? Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this video helpful in your search for a therapist. We reviewed general search terms that can be used on Google, but also getting more specific within Google, as well as using AI and therapist directories to help narrow your search to find websites and other information that therapists offer so you can learn more about them. We looked at 2 therapist websites. We looked at Alyse's and we looked at Drew's, and we looked at how they are similar and how they are different, and the things to look for within a website to help save you time and some frustration as you go to reach out to meet with a therapist or schedule a consultation. And then we spoke about deciding whether or not to move forward with that consultation or scheduling an appointment. In the next video, we are going to be covering the consultation itself and how that therapist uses the time to find out about you, and how you can use that time to find out about the therapist you're looking to see. If you like information about Drew or Alyse, I have their websites and their contact information in the description. And if you are interested in meeting with me or learning more about me, my website is in the description as well. And you can, of course, if you're looking to schedule a consultation, I see clients in New York, New Jersey, and Florida, and that would be in the description as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you like this video or if there are other things you'd like to see me do videos on. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one.